Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with a collaboration, What Would You Make? Which is all about using wood items in your crafting projects. So let's get started. Project number one. Well, I'm going to show you first of all, I got some items from the Goodwill. I got this recipe box here and I looked up the tag and it was actually from Michael's, and the Michael's box was $7.99, and you've seen how much I paid for mine. Somebody wrote in marker across the top, tax. This was a wood bucket I got for $2.99. I could not find anything that was comparable to this except for these two items here, and they're not the same. I got mine for $2.99, and it was a souvenir bucket from a gaming place. The third item I'm using today is this fillable ornament I got from Walmart at the end of the season last year. And I went ahead and the front of it is wood and the rest is MDF. And I'm going to open it up and just measure to make sure and see exactly what I need for the inside of this project. Now this would be a great craft for a kiddo to do. It comes with the pom-poms, some glitter glue, some paint, so they could do all sorts of things with it. It's a 7-inch circle for the inside, so it's a nice big project. I am using this, I ordered rice paper. It actually says mulberry on there, but it is a hand done paper there, and it's great for doing Mod Podge, for printing out for Mod Podge items. I'm going to take that bucket that I got, and it looks like it was, like I said, a souvenir bucket from a casino gaming place somewhere in Kentucky. I could not find anything like it online, so I figured $2.99, considering the size, was a really good price for this bucket. I went ahead and used my antiquing wax on here, and as I put it on, I take it off and I continue moving right around this bucket. Now that emblem on the front was burned in, and it didn't take much just to cover that up. I'm coming in with the images that I printed off. I got these on creativefabrica.com, and I'm going to go ahead and trim them out to look like little plates to put on the bucket itself. I went ahead and did 2 of these so I could do one on the front of the bucket and one on the back. Of course, the one on the front of the bucket is going to cover up that mint embossing in that wood there, that wood burning. It's definitely been lasered in there. So I'm just taking my Mod Podge and covering a surface there that I can actually lay my image on top of. And I want to make sure that wherever I'm putting this, I know just how far up from the bottom, kind of a good idea from the bottom and from the top, so when I put one on the back side, I can put it in about the same area. So once that's on there, I went ahead and did a little bit more of my matte Mod Podge across that top, came in, made sure it was underneath, and just put a top coat all over the top of this piece of rice paper, and it did wonderful sticking on to this bucket. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the opposite side, and then I'm going to come in and I just am going to cover the whole thing with Mod Podge and give it a good seal so that it is all covered and it has a nice coat of sealant all inside and out. Once it's dry, I'll add the twine handle back onto this bucket. Now guys, this is our What Would You Make collaboration. It's hosted once a month by Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY and Christine from Divine Design. And the guest host is Joanna from Joanna's DIY Life. And as always, the link to the host channel and the playlist will be linked in the description box below. Project number 2. Okay, we are going to do that great big bauble, and we're going to create a shaker here. So the first thing I did is I went ahead and I painted this with my plaster. I only did 1 coat because that's all I needed. I'm going to come in with my gloss Mod Podge because I wanted this to sparkle a little bit on the inside. And I added a little too much, so you see me just kind of wiping it off to the side. And I'm going to still use that after I take my image and place it where I want it on top of this circle. And I'll use that as a top coat on my image. So I am using this cute little bakery image here with the Christmas colors in it, and I just think it is absolutely adorable. This would make a great little piece sitting in your kitchen on a counter or on a little shelf, any place like that. It's absolutely adorable. I'm coming right back in with my gloss Mod Podge right over the top of this image, and once that is all set there, I'm going to come in and I'm going to just use an emery board. There we go. An emery board, and I'm going to just sand off those edges around that circle, and that will be ready to roll. So what I'm doing here is I have these great little fairy lights, and I am using some hot glue, and I'm just going to line them around the inside of my little bauble ornament there. Before I did this, I went ahead and I took a dryer sheet and I wiped that plastic sheeting across the front that has our window. I did that to knock back any static that's going to hold any of the stuff I put in there as for the shaker. Now you see it wrapped around the inside of this 3 times, which is great. Gave me some good light. I am taking some sand. This is some sand I got at Dollar Tree some time ago, and I just added a little bit in there. Remember, you don't need a whole lot in these shakers. You want enough in there that you can have it along the bottom, but you don't want a whole bunch in there or you're going to cover your images up. I'm using some of these gold ball table scatters, and I want some of the smaller balls. I don't want any of the bigger ones really in there. And so I'm trying to pick some smaller ones out and place in there along with that sand. I'm going to come right on in with my Type Bond wood glue, and I'm going along this edge. I don't want this to be able to come open. Even though people can, you know, it's meant to be able to open and change out pictures or whatever you want to do, I want to seal this because of the sand inside here. So once I get that on there, I put that wood glue all the way around the edge. I want to make sure that my image is going to be facing up. You can see that there's a flat side on this ornament at the bottom, and so it shows that the ornament's basically going to be standing at a tilt. And look at that. It turned out great. There is no problem with static with the sand or any of the balls onto that plastic because I used that dryer sheet to kick back any static cling on that. I'm just going to dab a little bit of hot glue and put that light pack on the back where you can actually open it and change the batteries if needed. I am using some antique rub and buff, and I'm going over the tip of my ornament, the ornament hanger here, and I'm just going to rub that all over and get that all in there nice and thick down into that wood. It will dry, and I want it to have a nice thick coating over that particular piece of the ornament. Now to get into the center and around those little corners a little bit better, I did come in with a little bit of a Q-tip, and I just rubbed it all around that edge on the inside of that ornament holder. And I also went around the outside edge of it as well with my fingers and with that Q-tip. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be all over as best I could get it without making a mess, too much of a mess onto that clear plastic across the front of my ornament. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today with this collaboration. I do have a great time. There's a couple of them I just really love to do each month, and this is one of them. And with it being July, Christmas in July is just a great way to get started on any of my items for Christmas or for craft shows or for gifts. So you see here, I'm just taking that same rub and buff, going around the edge of this bauble ornament, and I'm going to go ahead and go around the whole sides of this as well, just enough to give it a little bit of aging with that gold and that plaster. And I really like the effect that this actually gave to this ornament. I think it's going to look great sitting anywhere. It could sit in your living room, in your dining room, in your kitchen. It could be on a cocoa bar or anything like that. I think it just really turned out super cute. Now, once I was done with the gold rub and buff all the way around this, I went ahead and I dug me out some cute little gingerbread ribbon. I just created a bow to put right on the top there, and I'm cutting the tails right now because I want the gingerbread men to be facing upward, going down both sides. And if you just kept it as one piece, you would not have that. You'd have them standing up on one side and upside down on the other. So I went ahead and added the tails in separately to the bow that I have glued on the top of this ornament right at the holder of the bauble. So I'm just taking some hot glue and I'm going to dab some. You see me fold that into a little bit of just a pleat, and then I'm just going to hot glue that right on down to the top of that ornament underneath that bow that I already put on the hanger. On to project number 3. Okay, guys, this is that recipe box that I got at the Goodwill for $2.99. And because it said tax on the top of it, I had to go with the black. You even see here after I put that Mod Podge on, you can see where that tax popped right on up and right on through. I did not paint the back of my paper white. I wanted this to have that black undertone, make it look more aged and in a little bit of a different look here than what you would normally get when you paint your white background. This is still, it's a little bit more of a grungy look, so I would say probably more of a primitive look than it is a farmhouse or country look, but I really like the way it turned out. Now, after this dried, it was a little darker than I wanted, so I just cut out another image and went on over the top of that. You'll see the way that looks at the end here. So I went ahead and I just wanted to put something on each side, and I thought that little deer head with eating a cookie was super cute since this is a recipe box. I just trimmed him out. I did print him on that rice paper that I had gotten, and I'm just going to Mod Podge him right on down. Now here I've already stuck another piece of my print over the top of the other one, so it does make it a little more bold. It really didn't make too much of a difference, but it did make it a little more bold. I'm going to cut out some of this bling to go around the edge here where my box will meet, so that it'll give just a little bit of extra something something. I wanted something on there because I had to split that image for the box to open. So I wanted to make sure that I had something there that would kind of cover up where it actually split my little gingerbread man from his feet. So I thought this bling would be perfect with the colors. It's more of a vintage tone. And so I just used some of my wood glue on top of my box. You can see me just patting it down in there. And I'm just going to, I cut each one of those pieces out to length. And I just laid it right on top of that glue and made sure that it was, had a nice grip. It had enough glue to kind of grip around it. I pressed it into place, and then I wanted to make sure that each of those would not hang over the edge. So I did come back in and push them a little bit, and I trimmed off any extra of that little bit of twine that hangs off of it that connects them. I came back in and I trimmed all that off and just made sure it was along the edge, pushing it nice and tight. And I went ahead and did this on the top of the box and the front of the box. And I think that just made a difference on that Mrs. Claus Gingerbread Bakery. Now that glue right there will dry and I don't have to worry about it, and that magnet is still there, so it latches that box. And there you have it, my friends. Look at how cute these turned out. I'm really pleased. This bucket turned out really adorable. You can put whatever you want in there. Some little rolling pins would be really cute for the kitchen. And of course, my little recipe box turned out really cute. Can't wait to add my special Christmas recipes in there. And of course, this adorable bauble ornament with the lights that I had put on it. Woo, that's a little flashy. There we go. And the shaker bits on the inside. Absolutely adorable. Guys, let me know what you think about these crafts. Which one was your favorite? I think they all turned out super adorable. Guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me as I work on my crafts. I do appreciate your time. I know how precious time is, and for you to take time out of your day to spend with me is just a blessing. We thank you so much for joining us. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, I hope you will consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe bell, and YouTube will notify you when I've uploaded a new video. As always, guys, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.